Mewing, mogging, looksmaxing. These are all terms we take for granted as part of popular internet Zoomer lexicon. But not too long ago, these terms were reserved for a few niche boards on websites that the general public had no knowledge of. And these ideas have only become more popular with the rise of a new figure, Clavicular, a 19-year-old streamer whose entire philosophy rests on the idea that looks matter. And if you're not using his methods, you're gonna be left behind. Clav is definitely an interesting guy, and his popularity is more reflective of the culture that created him rather than his own personal successes or shortcomings.
By the way, I can't understand like how can you just do shit like this. And also I think he has been planted, or maybe he's just paying a huge fees to agencies, because I have been seeing him everywhere else. So yeah, I think he's doing the Andrew Tate route, but in a look maxing style, where Andrew Tate will say like you are brokey, he's saying that you're ugly.
At the same time, he probably needs some serious help. And while on one hand I do feel bad for him, and on another he's pretty funny, how much sympathy can be extended to someone who tells his fans that steroids and meth are the way to ascend? This is the story of Clav, the world's most popular looks maxer.
By the way, is he really like that popular, or maybe there is somebody else who is more popular? Because I have seen a lot of weird people who just wants to be popular because they want to be more different than other people, and they think that if they are different than other people, they are beautiful. Just like these people who thinks that they are beautiful in their own ways, but I don't think there is a word beautiful to describe this, because beautiful is for beautiful.
Clavicular was born in December of 2005 to a wealthy family in the northeastern United States. Instead of public school, he attended an all-boys private high school, which just goes to show that his upbringing already set him apart from the average person. But even among his peers, his interests would diverge completely from the typical student. While most kids were studying and playing Call of Duty, Clav was getting into looks maxing. As its name suggests, looks maxing is the idea of improving your looks. The origins of this term are somewhat difficult to place, but today, the term is most commonly attributed to looksmax.org.
By the way, I'm from Pakistan, so for me to hear look maxing was literally new experience, and that is why I want to do a reaction video on content like this, because I have no idea how that culture works. And it is very interesting for me to look at the perspective of somebody outsider who is looking at something which is completely new, or you can just say alienating for me. Yeah, I'm not that good looking guys, or I'm not that bad looking guy. So I have never wanted to improve myself like this, and to, you know, do, I don't know, surgeries to improve myself. Because first of all, I am very broke, and second of all, maybe I'll just love my body the way it is, so I feel pretty confident in myself.
Clav began browsing the site while in high school, supposedly coming to a personal epiphany. Looks matter above all else. If you don't have friends, it's because you're not good looking. Want to succeed in relationships? You need to be good looking. You want to dream?
By the way, the people who say that looks matter to be in a relationship or to make friend, it is completely false, because I have seen a lot of people who does not look that great but has lot of friends, or maybe they are in a far better relationship than a good looking guy, or they are in a relationship with a girl which is very beautiful, but he does not even look that good, and everyone just think that how it's possible that he has a girlfriend like that. I personally have seen a lot of stuff. So I don't think that looks matter for a relationship. I think the behavior of a person who is in a relationship is more important than looks. That is my personal opinion, but you can just comment whatever you want and tell me if I am wrong.
Job? Well, you also need to be good looking for that. Some basic
I don't think you also need a good looking for especially a job. Again, I have seen a lot of people who does not look that good but has a far better job than a good looking person. So yeah, I think that is also a perspective, or you can just say a delusion of a person who can't succeed, so he's going to blame other thing which maybe he can't control, or maybe he can control but he does not want to change it. Like how people say that if I look better I will get a job or I will be in a relationship. Like first of all, even if you look good, that does not mean that you are getting a job. You are not going into a modeling, you are going into a business or maybe some other thing which required experience, knowledge, not looks. So yeah, it is very weird sometimes if person say that looks matter for a job. Like which type of job you are talking about? Are you talking about adult shows? What is your end goal? And another thing about the relationship, which is again same, you just need to open Instagram, Twitter, or whatever platform you are watching. You will see a lot of couples who does not even look they can match each other. Like how a boy will does not even look that handsome but he's still with a paddy. So that is a completely different argument there. Yeah, but still they need to blame something. So the looks which they can't even change very much, they will blame it.
Methods for looks maxing are pretty typical. Go to the gym, eat a balanced diet, get some sunlight so you don't look like you just rolled out of a coffin. But these are all things that people have been doing anyway. Your dad probably told you to go to the gym instead of playing Halo all night. Or maybe that was just me. But some looks maxers are in favor of using more drastic methods. Clav claims that he was just 14 years old when he ordered testosterone off the internet for the first time. Obviously, testosterone is a naturally occurring hormone in all of us, but Clav was taking it to accelerate his progress in the gym. Or, as he puts it, I started roids about 2 weeks after I started lifting. Why? Because natty gains are slow and gay.
What's up?
First of all, yeah, it is slow. I have been going to gym for more than a year, and I just push myself to go regularly. Before that, I have gone to like maybe 3 or 4 months regularly, then leave it. And then return it after a year, but finally I am back into the gym. I know it is very slow process, but it is that way because you are building your body, not like you're doing a whole transformation. So yeah, the point is also there. If you want a six-pack muscle, you need to just inject a lot of steroids to become like jacked, but still that will also affect your health and mental health, a lot of things. So there is not a single benefit you can just gain by getting a six packs, because the personality of a person matters more than his body. So let's get started again.
I just want to give a comprehensive overview of SARMs, or selective androgen receptor modules, what I think about them, my experience with them, and if you should take them. Now, SARMs are not as researched as anabolic steroids, so we don't currently know the long-term side effects, so that risk is already present.
To make things simple, SARMs are essentially gourmet steroids. They're marketed as having less side effects than the stuff bodybuilders used to put up their butts, but at the same time, they do suppress natural testosterone production, which can have some pretty noticeable side effects on your body. If you've ever seen a male bodybuilder develop fleshy man boobs, it's because they took steroids for some period of time and it messed up their hormones. But most bodybuilders
Wait a second. I think I've seen few people who has that type of boobs on, I think, Instagram. And the another thing, which was a horrible thing I have ever watched, was that it was leaking some sort of black goo. So it was very horrible to watch. So I can't even imagine that if you want to take steroids and you already know how badly it can affect you, and also it can just accelerate your aging very much. You will lose your hair, or you will get a lot of health issues which is related to heart, lungs, your kidneys, and many more things. And even your manhood will not work. So I think that is the most important thing in your body which you need to preserve as a guy. And you are just getting testosterone and things like that, which can affect you a lot more than you will ever recover from it. By the way, about the look maxing stuff, if you want to look beautiful and impress girls maybe, or get a job, I think your health is also important, because you need to do a job, and also your PP need to be also active in a relationship, because if it is not active, I am pretty sure even if you look very beautiful, that girl will leave you for somebody else, because she also needs something in return in a relationship.
are taking these performance enhancers after puberty has ended. Clav was starting them before he was even halfway through his natural development as a man. Based on his video, he's well aware of the risks, but it's a trade-off he was comfortable with because he claims to have gained 55 pounds of muscle in 12 weeks. It's also worth noting that this video is partially his own personal experiences, but it's also a promotion of these substances to anyone who stumbled across it. He recommends what to take if you're fat and want to lose weight, what to take if you're skinny and want to gain muscle, and how to do it most effectively.
Now, there's a bit of an increased libido, like you might catch yourself, going on Tinder at 12 a.m. There's been times when I was on SARMs where I'd be on Tinder at 12 p.m., swiping on these ugly ass, let's not get into that, but
These videos
So wait a second, he thinks that everyone who is on Tinder does not look that good, or what is his reason of saying that?
are from 2022 and were seemingly recorded on the same day. During the rest of that year and 2023, there doesn't seem to be any significant online activity from him, but that doesn't mean he was leaving internet life behind. You've probably heard at least one term like mogging, mewing, beta, alpha, and sigma males, red, blue, and black pills, virgin, Stacy, and Chad, among many others. What you probably don't know is that, like pretty much everything online nowadays, these terms originated in mostly right-wing forums and image boards from over a decade ago. Before Looksmax was popular, it had three spiritual predecessors: PUAHate.com, an anti-pickup artist forum, which mass shooter Elliot Rodger was active in; SlutHate.com, which was later renamed Red Pill Talk, and was once directly addressed by the inventor of mewing himself, Dr. Mike Mew.
The first response came from Incel Executioner. I do love some of the names you've got here.
And Lookism.net, the latest and least relevant out of all of these.
By the way, the Lookism website, I'm pretty sure full of anime fan related to the Lookism anime. I'm pretty sure there will be a huge conflict between people who think that they can look similar to an anime character, which will be a horrible thing to do even in real life, because the anime character which in the Lookism they are unrealistic characters, all of them.
Many similar sites went the way of the dodo as their users found a more reliable place with faster servers that could host their discussions: Reddit. But in 2017, social media companies led a massive crackdown on anything that was deemed online extremism. Among the many casualties was the shutdown of the subreddit r/incels. On one hand, you had people saying that these communities were dangerous and needed to be purged from the web.
But why they were dangerous? I'm pretty sure they were dangerous because they were promoting things which was not very good for younger people. Because imagine if there is a website which is encouraging people to get surgeries or this type of steroids which can affect your health badly. I think they need to ban that, because that can be very much dangerous for people. And also sometimes people get bullied on those websites if you does not look that good, and people will just harass you even more if they see you as a guy who can they bully easily.
Opposing argument, apart from being in favor of freedom of speech generally, also had a foreboding warning: the idea that banning these communities from the general internet would cause a pressure cooker effect, where the people using them would just gather on more extreme platforms. And indeed, they did. The shutdown of r/incels instantly led to the creation of 4 different websites: incels.is, which is a general forum for incels; neets.net, created for people who are not in employment, education, or training; Sanctioned Death, a site that allegedly provides instructions on how to,
I think they need to ban that website, especially like how can a look maxing website can be just banned, but that type of website is still remaining. I don't know what is happening here.
And finally, looksmax.org. It's during 2024 that most of Clav's
I just watch it like they take the organization URL. Like, come on, which type of organization that is which promote body morphia, I think what that is called, which is not very good for a normal person to consume this kind of media, especially.
Posts on this forum take place. One of the earliest posts I found is him replying to someone named Big Black Oily Booty, who claimed to be
Love this name.
15 years old. Clav replied to him saying, "Log out of this site and play with your friends. Don't ruin your mental development with autism." Unfortunately, this is advice that he himself did not take. 1 month or so after his 18th birthday, he made a post saying he had already gone on 4 steroid cycles, with doses as high as 550 milligrams of testosterone weekly. For reference, the testosterone they give middle-aged men to get their T levels healthy tops out at 200. In the same post, he also notes that taking substances in the past had seriously affected his liver health, but this didn't seem to be a major concern for him. By age 16,
Yeah, he can just F his health, but he need to good very look in front of somebody thinks about him that he does not look good.
he was spending $700 per steroid cycle. But somewhat ironically, his drug use ranked pretty low in terms of bizarre methods he was using to supposedly improve his looks. While looks maxers believe that your body is an important part of improving your looks, equally important is your face. Having a strong jawline, high cheekbones, and hunter eyes are heralded as the pinnacles of looks maxing.
Everyone talks about getting hunter eyes, and everyone talks about a positive canthal tilt, but no one tells the truth. Here's the full guide on how to actually get hunter eyes.
According to Clav, one of the methods he used was called thumb pulling, which entailed pulling the roof of his mouth outwards to widen his jaw.
Do they really think that it is possible to do that? Because I'm pretty sure I have seen surgeries for that specific reason. I think I have seen the machine which you need to put inside, which is like implanted in some situation. Each and every day rotate the screw so your teeth can be like wide a little bit. So if you have a narrow, I think, mouth, that situation can be fixed. I don't know about this because it is literally physically or scientifically impossible to do that by like doing the thumb thing.
He also chewed gum, which supposedly helped his jawline as well. All of these are obviously unconventional, but the strangest method is bone smashing. The idea that by lightly hitting your face with a hammer or other object, you can create microfractures that, when healed, supposedly enlarge or strengthen the bones underneath.
Yeah, I know that if your bone is damaged and it can heal, it can become a little bit stronger, but especially not for face. And I have seen a lot of idiot on, especially on Instagram, who were doing the same thing, but they were using a literal hammer for that. So I'm pretty sure other people will just use wall for that. I'm just suggesting a horrible idea. Sorry guys, don't even try that at home.
I know it hurts, but that means it's working. That's the only indication. You have to push past the pain. Look at me.
While he acknowledges that the effects of bone smashing are most likely not permanent, he still claims that it swells up his face and makes him look more defined.
Yeah, because you are literally hitting your face.
Although I'm not sure I see much of a difference in this before and after other than lighting. Now, one question you're probably asking after seeing all of this is why? Clav was already a reasonably attractive person before any of this, and it was all due to genetics. Were the steroids, strange techniques, and thousands of dollars spent really worth it? I would argue no, especially since 2 major things he was seemingly ignoring were his mental well-being and his general social skills. In one post, he states that he dreads going to get haircuts because, as he puts it, "I'd rather look homeless than have to talk to someone for 30 minutes straight. God, I want a rope max." He even went as far as making an entire thread about his crippling social anxiety. "I dread talking to people in real life, even if it's for 30 seconds. I'd do anything to avoid those awkward, meaningless exchanges. Here's how I say 50 words or less per day. I wake up 30 minutes."
Is he a AI which has a limit of 50 words and he can just say that and not more than that? And also, if he want to socialize more, have a relationship, have a job, he need to speak more than that to be able to accept in a society, because looks does not bring food to the table. Yeah, I think in this case he's doing weird shit, so maybe he can do that. But also he's doing live stream and making like weird ass reels, so isn't like he's speaking more than 50 words a day by doing that? I don't know what he's thinking by saying weird ass thing.
Earlier than I have to, so I don't have to see my parents in the morning. I get up at 6 a.m. for school, even though I don't start for like 2 hours after that. I just sit in my car and wait for it to start. Don't walk into class.
Yeah, he need to get into the mental hospital for that.
First or last, both of which draw attention, which I don't want. I just walk in the
I don't remember walking into class, maybe first or last, and people were looking at me weirdly. Yeah. The other thing was that I was very extrovert guy, so I will just make friend with anybody who I talk to. So literally, my whole class was my friend, and even other classes which I have never gone, but they have seen me, were friend with me. So I think that is depend on a person if you have a ability to talk to, because I'm a guy who think I'm introvert but I'm also an extrovert. For example, if I meet somebody first time in my life, I just need maybe 2 minute maximum to get to know him, and we can just have a good conversation. But yeah, it is depend on a person how it feels by talking to somebody else. And I think for in this case, he thinks that everyone is looking at him like 24/7.
Middle of the pack so no one notices. Sit in the middle of the room. Sitting in the back may cause the teacher to cold call you to try to catch you not paying attention. Sitting in the middle has allowed me to never get called on for a question the entire year.
Yeah, but sometimes it does not even work because teacher will target somebody who they think is not a good student, does not pay attention in a classroom.
Keep eye contact with the teacher and divert your attention.
Yeah, this is the end. If you try to do eye contact with your teacher, I'm 100, no, 1000% sure that their teacher specifically will ask you more question than the guy who is not looking at the teacher.
Whenever she looks at you to another person. Also, never use your phone when you're not supposed to. She will go out of her way to embarrass you. Don't follow anyone on Instagram. This will make it awkward to walk by them. Am I
Why? Like, why he does not even want to talk to somebody? In my case, I am also a guy who does not have more friend now. I have graduated from university. I am not a guy who keeps a lot more friend now. The reason is because I have known which type of friend I want, so that why I focus on a better quality of a friend, not quantity now. And I have known them that they will just ask you for help when they need it, but if they don't need your help, they will never call you or message you. So I just avoid that type of person, because I want a person who will help me in a difficult situation, which currently I have maybe like a one friend who will do anything for me even if I ask him at any time. So that type of friend is like more valuable than maybe 100 friend if you combine it, because in a life-threatening situation or maybe some other situation which you need his help, he will be there for you, not the 100 guys who will never be there, who call you friend.
supposed to greet this person now? I don't want to talk to you. Don't try to make small talk. Then, it is custom to greet people the next day. Just ignore everyone.
Never participate in class discussions.
Start counting your words. You shouldn't be saying more than 50 to
Yeah, it is mental illness to even think about this kind of scenario where you need to say like, yeah, I need to speak maybe 50 or 100 words maximum a day. Like, are you limited like a chat GPT or other AI, which I'm pretty sure they does not have a limit of 50 or 100 words.
100 words per day. I have gone entire days without speaking before. This should be your goal. When walking into a room, don't make eye contact with
Anyone.
If I need to, just give them a nod and walk the other way. During lunch, I always sit in the library and fast, so that I don't have to go through the shame of eating lunch alone. This will cause social stigma. Don't be this kid. Just go somewhere else. When I get home, I try to go straight to my room without seeing my parents. I always greet my dog though, because I love her. This is the only female I will ever
Yeah, he need help.
feel a connection to. I care greatly for my dog because she gets so happy when I come home from school. When I go to have my pre-workout meal, I eat it at an obscure time to avoid overlapping dinner with the rest of my family who are always home. At the gym, I always wear a hoodie and sweatpants, dark colors to be unapproachable. This is ideal. Never wear deodorant to the gym. No one asks you to work in, ever, if you smell really bad. Only do this at the gym, not anywhere else.
Yeah, I think he need more help now. I can't even comment it. This is like a literal common sense, and he's just think that everyone need to be do opposite thing to avoid interaction with anyone else. And also about the clothes thing, do you really think that if you wear like simple clothing, no one will approach you? Everyone will approach you, but especially in gym, there is a lot chance of anyone interacting with you a lot. Maybe they just want the weight or other stuff from you, not especially you, or maybe they want to talk to you to make friend with you, which is not a horrible idea to even do that.
because it draws attention. When I get home, I go straight to my room to come on looksmax.org or incels.is for the rest of the night. Sometimes I watch a movie. I recommend you try to go an entire day doing your normal regime without talking. Whenever I talk, I give away my blue pill and reveal my mental issues. I used to have a therapist, but stopped going because of how dreadful it is. They constantly try to blue pill you and warp your sense of reality. On one
Yeah, I have never gone into therapy and I will prefer not to go there. I think I can just do a better, far better than telling somebody what is going on with me. Yeah, I think that will be also an issue if we look at it. But still, I will prefer to keep everything to myself or maybe share it with my friend who knows me far better than my parents. But still, you need to talk. Like, come on, not 50-day award or less than that. You need to talk, you need to get experience, especially a person like me. I have been making videos for like more than 3 years. I have been working and making more than an hour long video every single day, so you can just think how much of a word I speak in a day. I am a guy who speak a lot every single day.
On one hand, I think some of this post is exaggerated to get attention from other people on the forum. One user would even reply simply stating, "This is what people on this website do," and then they complain they get no attention from women. At the same time, social anxiety might be something that affects him. In one post, he claims that in real life he's generally perceived as a pretty normal guy. He says he has no problem speaking to girls or giving class presentations. But whenever he posts on the forum, people immediately sense his social awkwardness. It almost seems like he cares more about users on this website liking him than people in his real life. On that same note, one strange pattern I notice with his posts are the complete contradictions. For example, he ends this one post with this sentence: "You guys who bang and jerk off multiple times a week disgust me." Okay, fair enough, I guess. In the same post, he says that he
Like, what he wants from a person to do. What type of work do you want from him then?
pumps and dumps girls bi-weekly, which I assume means he was having casual hookups with women every other week. But in another post just 2 days after, he says, "I wind up gooning once every couple of days." Obviously, these posts are in complete conflict with each other. On one hand, he hates people who have sex and goon. On the other, he also does both of these things. Clav was trying his best to make it out of the hood at this point in his life. While he was attending high school and college, his academic pursuits seemed far less interesting to him than what was happening online, which, to be honest, is one thing I definitely relate to him on. He had already started a TikTok account to show his transformations to the world and generate a little bit of conversation online about it. But he was still trying to create some separation between his real life and what was happening online. At one point, he shared his list of things to never talk about with normies. This includes seed oils and food dyes, asking for food to be cooked in grass-fed butter, JFK assassination, tap water filled with estrogen, COVID vaccines, Michelle Obama's gender, Volkswagen Tiguan, Hollywood pedophiles, women's right to vote, how epic 05 Tacomas are, saying the phrase based and red-pilled, Holocaust death count, crime statistics, homosexuals, Kanye West, weightlifting and macros, car modding, the word kek, race relations, and finally, Queen Cleopatra's race. Now, you may have some questions about many of these things, but if you're wondering about the Volkswagen Tiguan specifically, he says, "I took a true Stacy on a date and ranted about how much I hate the Volkswagen Tiguan, which apparently dried her pussy out. Don't recommend talking about that." But as time passed, the line between his online activity and his normal life began to blur. In one post, he talks about how some girl he was talking to looked up his TikTok handle and from there found his account on Looksmax, along with the post where he talked about his dick size. On the forum, Clav's struggles with online dating are pretty well documented. He can be seen asking for help on what kind of pictures to put on his profile to get better matches, while also complaining about how incapable he is of holding any kind of conversation with the women he does end up matching with. This would be a persistent issue for him, to the point where he made a YouTube video about it.
My biggest point of contention recently has been online dating. I don't know where I'm going wrong, which is why it's so frustrating. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And there's just no real way to be
You need to take classes from Andrew Tate, like how to beat a woman so they does not talk bad about you or talk back to you.
logical, and when you're
Obviously, I'm joking. I'm not serious. Okay, please don't cancel me.
trading. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm supposed to say, and there's just no real way to be logical. And when you're texting these girls, there's no feedback system. They'll just stop texting you out of
He wants some feedback from them, like how he's talking to them.
nowhere. Like, you'll just be texting a girl, having a normal conversation, just no reply. Casper the Ghost. At that point, it's not like, okay, well, this is what it's not like a game where you could go.
By the way, if I'm real with you, I have been never in a relationship myself. I have avoided a lot of girls because I don't want them, and because of that, I am not in a relationship specifically, because I think that for a younger person to be in a relationship, it is quite of a waste of time, specifically for a person like me, because I have been working a lot, so I don't even have a time for myself. So if I want to be in a relationship with somebody else, I need to give a time to them a bit more, and it is physically for me impossible to give time to somebody else. I need to like make videos, do editing and stuff like that. I don't even have a time for myself to sleep sometime. So yeah, I think I need to also go and get into the therapy.
And do some like game film after the fact and say, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that, maybe I pushed it over the line. Just be a perfectly normal conversation. Well, I could be, what did I do? How about that? How about you do me the courtesy of, after all these conversations and text messages that I don't even want to, you think I want to talk about your hobbies? Bitch, I want to get in your pants, goddammit. And I want to convince you that I'm not trying to you, which is why I'm having the conversation.
And to be honest, I think some of this experience is probably relatable to a lot of guys. What hopefully isn't relatable is that in some of his other posts, his conclusion was basically to give up on dating altogether. This really comes to a head with one thread simply titled "Masturbating Mogs Sex with Girls." I'd rather goon 24/7 than have to cope and jester on dating apps or cold approach a dumb girl. Conversing with low IQ primitive women is insanely difficult for me, an autist, and I can't fake the interaction for over 5 minutes. Pussy doesn't feel as good as my hand death gripping my cock on my triple monitor setup. Girls give you AIDS and take your money. Plus, when I jerk off, I can sit on my hand till it's numb and pretend a blonde Stacy is jerking me. How poetic.
God, I'm gooning!
Yeah. No.
It's probably worth noting here that taking steroids can also screw up your sex drive, with some drugs causing it to go through the roof, while others will cause it to plummet to the point where erections are basically impossible.
Yeah, especially I think steroid which people are taking body, most of the time they will affect your PP health, and you can't even goon especially, or maybe have sex with somebody else. So it is very trade-off of you trading your PP for a muscles, which will look maybe good, but still you are giving up your manlyhood for what? For muscle? Are you like gay or what?
At this point, it's clear that his looks maxing had very little to do with being successful with women, and instead, it had warped into some strange mixture of vanity and personal obsession, and his methods would once again become increasingly bizarre. He began taking an interest in plastic surgery. Some posts detail him dropping some money on small things like cyst removals, while others had him asking other forum users how he could perform surgery on himself. And depending on what you qualify as
Yeah, he need to get locked up in a mental hospital because he has lost his mind.
plastic surgery, he's actually done it on himself multiple times. While I can't show it on YouTube, there's multiple videos of him injecting himself with something called lemon bottle, which is a controversial substance that supposedly dissolves fat in your body. In time, this became a regular part of his regimen, along with another method, using PDO threads. From what I can tell, PDO threads are basically the temporary tattoo equivalent of facelifts, small dissolvable strings that go under your skin and stimulate collagen production skin while making your face look tighter. I can't speak as to how risky or effective they are, but I also don't think it's good to do it as much as Clav does.
We're probably gonna do 4 more to get maximum hunter eyes.
And these methods also don't just stop at improving his face card. He claims to have injected lemon bottle into the base of his shaft, as well as sticking PDO threads into it. I did 8 threads in total today. I only went about a 1/4 inch in to mog the BBCs on the forum. I don't think anyone.
By the way, like how you are taking steroid which can affect your PP power, but you are also trying to increase its length. I can't even understand this guy, like what he want to achieve in his life.
Has ever written something like that before in all of human history, so I guess I have to give him points for being original. Even other people on the site told him this was a horrible idea, as basically every reply is calling him stupid or mourning the loss of his penile function. Since we're on the topic, he also does.
You need to understand, you have to be in a level that the people which are in this weird ass website are calling you weird and saying you like, what the fuck are you doing with your life, or with your PP, especially in this case.
Dick ups, which are exactly what they sound like. You awaken the ancient one and you flex it up as hard as possible for 4 sets of 12. And to progress the exercise, you can add a hand towel on top of it. According to Clav, he was up to 4 hand towels and had gained 1/2 inch of girth. Of course, the looks maxing journey never ends, and even this stuff is really just the tip of the iceberg. Clav made several posts about wanting to get some more serious plastic surgeries. He explored getting an ollerplasty, which alters the appearance of your nostrils, a rhinoplasty, which changes the bridge of your nose, and of course,
I think I need the rhinoplasty.
Botox insertions. As for Botox, he didn't want to get it done by a doctor. Instead, he was interested in doing it himself, asking members of the forum where he could get it online. But eventually, he went and had it done by a professional, which is why his face now has kind of a stiff, emotionless appearance. It's at this point that we begin to see the line being crossed, as Clav goes from exclusively affecting himself with his antics to potentially affecting other people in a variety of ways. One of his biggest threads from this era features him taking pride in banging a girl who is in a relationship. What's funnier, or more strange about it, depending on how you look at it, is that he recorded audio of her crying about it afterwards to own her. Besides this, he frequently expressed his pride about purposely tricking people on TikTok into doing fake looks maxing techniques. This would be taken to the next level when, after enrolling in college, Clav was outright planning to start doing Botox injections for other students to make a quick buck.
Yeah, yeah, he needs to get locked up because he is going to ruin somebody else's life.
Funnily enough, before he expressed his intention to do this, he was concerned about being kicked out if the college ever found his social.
Yeah, obviously, what are you doing? I think it is similar to the other people who were promoting the training of, I think, the teeth replacement, which was veneer, I think so. Yeah, a veneer. They were promoting that you can just learn it and perform it everywhere else you want, and in the end they were exposed because they were just promoting a fake degrees, and same applied to this guy.
Media accounts, only to turn around and make plans to run a plastic surgery operation out of his dorm. He also made some other thread announcing that he won't be paying taxes. I guess that one is kind of based, I can't lie. Whether true or not, it seems like his concern about being kicked out of college is performative. If anything, it seemed he was looking forward to it, as it would give him an excuse to completely give up on trying to live a normal life so that he can go all in on being an online personality, as he was already trying to do at this point through his TikTok and YouTube. Clav found himself not being invited out by anyone, and even when he did get with a woman, he had to be on multiple drugs to be able to perform due to his severe erectile dysfunction, because
of course, because of those injections.
Of course, he had ED. He was also posting TikToks.
Wait a second, what is ID or ED? I don't know. I think so. It is a mental health issue. I think so. I don't know. You can just comment it, but I am pretty sure it is also because of the shit he was injecting in himself.
Erectile dysfunction, because of course he had ED. He was also posting TikToks during this time period with captions like, 99% of people are utterly repulsive to even look at. They should be grateful when I'm in their presence. I'll make a brief detour here to cover one of the stranger oddities in Clav's story. I lean toward it not being true, but given that he later walked back and edited the thread to erase it, I honestly can't be sure. Fortunately for us, the original thread was maintained via a quote in one of the replies, and although the overall details are aren't really important, the story basically goes that a girl he liked started dating a Chad. So his response was to wait for her outside her house and literally flash her naked in a trench coat. The girl was startled and dropped her phone as she ran away, which Clav proceeded to pick up, post a picture of his balls to her Snapchat, and then Venmo himself $250. Again,
Okay. This is funny because he just did up. I think what the OnlyFans girls do, but he takes money illegally from her, $200 to showing his balls. I don't know what I'm thinking about.
this is what Clav is claiming in the post. It could easily be a tall tale, but in any case, that's simultaneously hilarious and horrifying. At this point, Clav had already soured so much on the idea of college that he began to make threads recommending that instead of spending $250,000 on education, it's better to take that money and spend it all on plastic surgeries to be an influencer, which is basically a projection of his own aspirations, as he was already saving for a $25,000 surgery anyway. Another traumatic event that may have contributed to his hatred for education is the piss.
Mog incident.
I'll let him tell it in his own words. I went to the bathroom to pee before lunch. I didn't really have to go, I just wanted to do it proactively so I wouldn't have to go later at a less optimal time. I'm extremely piss shy. I hate the idea of peeing next to someone at a urinal. It feels so embarrassing and the pee never comes out. Anyone else have this? So I always go to the stall to pee. This time it's me and this BBC. He walks into the stall next to me. I start my pee stream and it's kinda quiet and weak. I can tell the BBC is laughing at my subhuman stream. He whips it out and produces the most girthful and powerful stream I've ever experienced. Mogs me to Gandhi with his beautiful, luscious stream. I truly want to end it. Indeed, that is a fate worse than death. Clav was clearly becoming more serious about his looks maxing efforts now, as he started taking more drugs, including a daily dose of erectile dysfunction pills, and looking into preemptively taking osteoporosis meds to try to grow his bones. At the same time, his online activity and his real life once again began to mix together. He was keeping lidocaine, a local anesthetic, in his bedroom so that he could numb himself while performing his procedures. His mom found it and was not very pleased. She stole the package of lidocaine and I'm losing my mind right now. I spent $40 and she took it because it's dangerous. I tried to lie and she went on a blue pill rant about how I'm not a doctor. I'm genuinely seething and raging like you wouldn't believe right now. Now I have to find a way to buy it without them knowing. As his parents started to get wise to his schemes, he got a job as a bouncer so that he could make his own money, and then made a plan to order steroids without anyone, not even his parents, finding out. With this newfound ability to blast away without a care in the world, it's at this point that he actually came to terms with how far he had taken looks maxing. Was all of this really worth it? The hundreds of posts to strangers online, the constant worrying about people in real life finding out about his strange habits, his parents' disappointment in his behavior, he decided it was time to just give it all up, to walk away. And that's the end of the video. Just kidding, he started taking Tren, one of the most infamous anabolic steroids due to how absolutely insane its effects are. He even started promoting it on the forum. When someone claiming to be 14 years old using the site asked what drugs they should use, Clavicular gave him a detailed list of what he thinks he should take, with this supposed 14-year-old simply replying, "Thank you." Obviously, anyone can just lie about their age on any website, so it's impossible to know if this was truly a kid or not, but Clav himself had now gone from someone who was socially awkward and wanted to improve his looks in early high school to a legal adult who was promoting harmful steroid use to children. Keep in mind, during this time period, Clav was downright bragging that he didn't even lift. He just took steroids and then got 5 times the results of, quote, natural subhuman dogs.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
His disdain for gym bros is so strong that he scoffed at how they pose in the gym's mirror. Gym bros are retarded. I just flex in a handicapped bathroom if anything. Clav's ability to freewheel his steroid cycle and also still attending classes created a bit of a golden age in terms of his posts. And there are a lot of funny threads from this period. For example, there's one where he recommends self-induced laryngitis as a means to achieve a Mogger voice, as well as his brave declaration that asking people for pictures of their penis is not gay as long as it's to check for aesthetics.
That is gay. And I remember my friend was asking me like how big your is like, what the f you are doing? I'm not a gay. And he was saying like, no, I will show you, you need to show me, and we can just look at each other, like we will decide who is bigger. And I was like, fuck off, I don't want to see you. What the hell are you talking about?
As far as his own, he provided updated measurements, claiming that his routines had produced an increase of 0.75 inches. Although I do wonder if he's still getting piss-mogged in the bathroom. There's also one instance of him asking some guy what his mom's poop smelled like, which I'm not really sure about the motivation behind. I guess not every post can be a gem, which includes his response to a thread asking looksmaxing users what they think about predator catchers on YouTube, with Clav himself replying, "Awful bro, it's literal entrapment to ask incels to fuck even if they are underage. They never got that treatment, so it's unexpected to them." He felt so strongly about this topic that he even went as far as to make an entire thread about it. Although it is worth noting that in the thread, he does say he thinks texting minors inappropriately is wrong. Regardless of whatever was happening on the forum, as long as that was the only place he was posting, Clav knew that his reach would be limited. So as terms like mogging and mewing became more popular parts of the modern internet's vocabulary, he began exploring new avenues to become a bona fide internet celebrity. In June 2024, we have one of the first instances of Clav going viral online with this picture, which was reposted to Reddit and then Twitter after he had first posted it to the Looksmax forum. Now, if you've been on 4chan or other sites for a long time, you might be thinking to yourself that you've seen this way before June 2024. That's because Clav's picture is most likely a rehash of this old meme from the 4chan Fit board, which was also reposted a ton over the years. But Clav's version would see a much more widespread appeal, getting nearly 12 million views on Twitter and bringing him a lot closer to his goal of becoming an online personality. Besides that, he was also getting some interesting results in terms of his looksmaxing. Despite having to take 3 different meds to treat his erectile dysfunction and use a penis pump, he claims he slept with nearly 100 women. Unfortunately, this came with the side effect of being seen as someone who will say anything and do anything in order to have sex with as many women as possible. After a few months, it was increasingly hard to continue picking up girls from his school. Naturally, this led him to go back to doing what he does best, bragging and arguing with random people on the forum to prove that he's an ascended Chad. And although I thankfully haven't stumbled across it, he claims that he's posted pictures of himself having sex on the forum. Now I think is as good a time as any to talk about what it means to ascend. There's an idea within looksmaxing that at some point you have basically achieved your ultimate goal of being at the highest possible level of physical attractiveness, at which point you can mog or look better than anyone around you.
I don't really give a shit about getting girls. I just want to mog. Like mog. If you guys mogging, it means basically like looking better than someone. Like so you want to mog like people. Like dude, like.
No one is interested in his conversation, like what the hell he's talking about. No one is interested to hear him.
Because at the end of the day, like with girls, you could just have game status. It's just like everyone could do it at the end of the day. But to actually mog, like you gotta be either genetically blessed or really work for it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
You may have noticed that despite having entered college, there's basically no information on what he was actually trying to get a degree in. That's because it probably didn't matter to him at all. The most I was able to find in direct relation to him going to college was when he made a thread saying you could get college loans and then use them to get plastic surgery. Although this is just one of many threads he's made about getting loans for plastic surgery. Finally, after months of doing nothing but having fun, his mom once again found his roid stash. But this time, he managed to convince her to let him keep it with the argument that he's an adult and paid for all of it himself. However, it's really important to say that simply calling it a roid stash is not really correct. While there were plenty of roids in there, Clav points out that there was 1 kilogram of pregab. What he's referring to is the medication pregabalin, which is used to treat epilepsy and anxiety, which he had been taking in order to chemically make himself low inhib. So he was basically taking it to feel less self-conscious and high anxiety. From the first day he went to college, he was dosing himself with pregabalin and baclofen. Now, unlike pregab, which has more psychological effects, baclofen is a straight-up muscle relaxant that, while not a benzo, has similar withdrawal results because of how strong it can be. His reason for taking these is so that he can cold approach girls constantly, as he claims he's unable to do so otherwise. Interestingly, he eventually evolved his stack to also include beer. From now on, I will drink a beer of some kind every 90 minutes. I haven't decided which one I'll drink, but more than likely an IPA since it's high calories. The ethanol will intoxicate me to make me low inhib and happy. The intoxication will be subtle, so it's good to do at work and you can still be giga productive. I'll just sprinkle 1 milligram of aromacin into each beer to counter the estrogen, the only bad side effect of beer maxing. Number 1 coping / bulking / low inhib strat. It didn't take long for him to announce in a thread that he had grown to basically do nothing all day but drink and try to get with women, all while asking the forum for more ideas of drugs he could take, with his own suggestions being meth or nicotine. We're gonna come back to the meth thing later, but to the surprise of no one, his first criminal charges came soon after he began more conventional drug use. In August 2024, he was charged with misdemeanor assault and battery on a 56-year-old woman, as well as felony assault and battery on a 63-year-old man. Kiwi Farms user Colonel Sugar Lemons was the one who dumped all the information related to this case. The story goes that around 11 p.m., an altercation broke out over 2 members of a large wedding party who were allegedly pulling on bras hanging from the ceiling in the bar area. Clav approached them, told them to stop, and they initiated a fight, leading to an all-out brawl. So far, not really anything unreasonable from Clav, but it appears that during the chaos, he was throwing punches at someone's mom, the 56-year-old woman listed in the charges. Now, I am going to say here that he most likely didn't do it on purpose, especially since these charges were dropped. However, I also think it's likely that his employer wasn't aware that one of his bouncers was regularly drunk and drugged up to the gills while on the shift. If any legal situation like this happens, and for whatever reason, Clav gets tested for drugs, he is an automatic liability and is a lot more likely to be considered culpable. But regardless, he got away with being an alcoholic, pregabalin, and baclofen fiend. Ironically enough, what he didn't get away with was the steroids. After getting his mom to stop giving him grief over his looks maxing, his activity on the forum would finally catch up to him when another user sent his post history to his school.
I was kicked out of uni for essentially roid maxing and, looks maxing. Whatever the term you want to use is. Unfortunately, someone decided to archive all of my posts and apparently find out where I went to university and send them all to the public safety at my university, detailing all my alleged activities, which prompted them, the university, to do a search of my room and uncover certain looks maxing peptides and, things like hormones and, TRT and whatnot. In this gestured clown world of America, that's illegal. Testosterone
So obviously that is illegal because you are harming yourself by consuming that.
is illegal, guys. You're not actually allowed to do it without a extremely gestured prescription that I can't afford. I don't have health insurance. So I was using underground labs to source testosterone. I'm sorry, but I can't afford to go through some of these online clinics or an endocrinologist. It's, you know what I mean? I'm a broke 18-year-old and I live at home, with my grandma. So it's to go ahead and go through the legal route and spend all this extra money rather than just source it on my own just seemed incredibly gestured to me, and that's why I went ahead and made the decision.
On one hand, I honestly do feel bad for Clav.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing to maliciously contact the college with the intent of harming him in some way. That kind of behavior never comes from a good place. With that being said, he really did everything in his power to allow this to happen. From making almost no effort to separate his personal life from his looks maxing endeavors, to outright bragging about his very questionable activity on campus, which included him saying he was going to do DIY Botox injections on other students, among many many other things. Even if the only thing that got him in trouble was the testosterone he had, he claims he doesn't get it legally because he can't afford health insurance. But at the same time, he has a dozen threads about how much money he's planning to dump into plastic surgeries, so I'm not sure how sincere that is. His focus on the importance of looks maxing comes through pretty clearly, as just moments after remarking about how mean-spirited people online can be, he's describing being kicked out as a blessing in disguise.
Now I am able to fully dedicate my time to looks maxing, so I think this is going to wind up being a blessing in the end.
The end of college would also mark the end of any normalcy for Clav. He was now fully committed to becoming a popular looks maxing influencer. His next video is titled, "I started Tren at 18, and so should you," which should really give you an idea of what kind of approach he was now embracing. Within just a few months of being kicked out, you can clearly see how much further he was going into the abyss, getting an $86 penis pump, getting on multiple weight loss drugs like Mounjaro and DNP, and on top of that, partying. During these parties, he would do coke, along with drinking alcohol and taking baclofen. Not to mention the other stuff he was already taking, such as steroids, his dick pills, etc. Obviously, even by normal partying standards, this is a pretty impressive cocktail, and these habits would eventually lead him to crash his car. Body cam footage of the aftermath has been released, and we can see that he basically drove into a ditch on a narrow road. But that's much less informative than what Clav himself said in a post about the incident. "I was nodding off on the way home and crashed into a fence. It'll cost me at least $2 to $3 grand. Surgery delayed once again. The cops didn't care that I was intoxicated. I'm boys with them. We work out at the gym." It's interesting that his greatest concern was not that he could have hurt someone or hurt himself. His main priority was that the crash was delaying one of his many planned surgeries. The first reply this thread got is someone pointing out that he could have taken the life of an innocent person while driving in that state, which honestly restored my faith in this website a bit overall. For any reasonable person, this would be a wake-up call to, not be strung out on everything all the time. Maybe a lifestyle change. But for Clav, it was just another obstacle to his ascension. Now that he was getting more attention online through TikTok and these minor scandals, Clav decided it was time to cash in a bit.
If you're tired of being invisible to women, tired of getting rejected, and tired of watching other guys who won the genetic lottery take what's yours, then pay attention. Because what I'm about to show you will completely transform your face and physique.
By the way, if we look at him, he improved a lot, but there is another reason he could have improved by maybe his genetics was that good and it was natural for him to do a glow up, but before he even get a chance to do that, he decided to just inject a lot of stuff. And I think he thinks because his looks are now gained by taking those drugs, and that is why that he wants to take more of those drugs to improve himself even more.
In ways that you didn't even think were possible. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You have been lied to. They told you just be confident, just be yourself, looks don't matter. But you and I both know that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, he opened a coaching page where he charges people $49 every month to have access to his methods. I'm not sure how much money this page was making when it started, but the landing page claims to have 1,500 members, which could add up to quite a bit of money. Now, I usually try not to hate on someone's bag too much. After all, I am a believer in good old American capitalism. But given the advice that we've seen him give out to people so far, my hopes for this school are pretty low. But with the money coming in, he posted on LooksMax saying he filled out a loan application for surgery, specifically maxilla surgery. This is surgery that will radically restructure his face and is another step in his quest to ascend. His posts around this time also got even more questionable. In one post, he writes about how he makes sure that he explodes inside of the better-looking girls he's been with to pass on his genes. Hopefully we don't get a low-tier god situation here.
Say it louder! I've abandoned my child!
And another post that's
I would love to make a video on low-tier god because I have been watching a lot of TikToks of him. So I think Turkey Tom has already made a video regarding him. I don't remember that, but I would love to make video of me reacting to that.
Definitely trolling. He criticizes people who wash their ass, calling it gay. As 2025 approached, he found himself one as his
louder! I've abandoned my child!
And another post that's definitely trolling, he criticizes people who wash their ass, calling it gay. As 2025 approached, he found himself wondering why all the women left around him were extremely promiscuous, and then revealed that he is now in $50,000 worth of medical debt, which he has no intention of paying off. Could he be lying about some of these details? Sure, but the overall point point still stands. The shark has been jumped, and he is past the point of no return here. His delusions go so far that he went to an orthodontist and began, quote, dropping nuclear black pills on him, all to walk out with $7,500 worth of Invisalign to fix his teeth, because apparently that's something he's very insecure about. Another thing he's never managed.
Yeah, I need to fix my teeth also, but I am poor, so I can't do it. Guys, donate me some money for that.
Managed to figure out with his drug stacks is his facial hair, which eventually led him to draw a mustache on with an eyebrow pencil because, according to him, it makes him look like a dad. I really hope stuff like this in particular is trolling due to how downright stupid this looks. Like clockwork, Clav has some brief moments where he attempts to produce something resembling self-awareness and makes the odd thread about how you shouldn't be doing drugs besides steroids and alcohol. But in no time flat, he's back to making brag threads about how he had fun at the club on 400 milligrams of Pregab and 65 of baclofen. Keep in mind, he had been living with his grandma at this point, I assume the same one from the picture, and he spent his free time making threads on Looksmaxing about how he had taken the sociopath pill, and he was gonna fool every normie into thinking he was a normal guy from his Instagram pictures. If you're not 14 and you're still LARPing about how you're like Dexter Morgan or Patrick Bateman, it is verifiably over for you. But the thing about being a deceptive and manipulative person is that over time, people do catch on to you, and you need to move elsewhere to keep running your racket. Naturally, by April, Clav did just that, and moved to LA, where he said it was infinitely easier to fuck. Probably true, to be honest. In his yearning to try and emulate the behavior of the popular normies, he doubled down on his TikToks and his streams on Twitch. But this move was showing some signs of taking its toll on him, as he once again spoke about trying to be sober from alcohol. But as we're going to get into soon, this sobriety is not really something he takes seriously. He literally just means not drinking alcohol. Other stuff is still on the table. Just a few months into 2025, something pretty strange popped up in his public records. This was brought forward by Kiwi Farms user Colonel Sugar Lemons, once again, who provided paperwork showing that in February 2025, Clavicular had been served with a restraining order that ensured he wouldn't abuse, contact, or come within 100 yards of an anonymous woman. And he also had to surrender any firearms he had to the police. Now, I wasn't able to find any more third-party information on this, but once someone else made a video about him that included the information about his restraining order, he responded by saying this: "The restraining order thing was even more outrageous. I made a joke on Discord that got me in actual trouble. If you think we have free speech in America, think again. I'm so done with people coming in and trying to subvert Looksmaxing into something it was never supposed to be." This is very similar to the things he was saying when he got kicked out of college. The idea that he was punished for just Looksmaxing, which is pretty insincere, leading me to believe that he may not be telling the full story here either. However, I will say that the person who made that video on him with the information about the restraining order is herself a Looksmaxer, so I don't know the motivation behind her making her video. Ultimately, these hiccups did very little to prevent Clav from gaining popularity, as the wider internet was becoming increasingly fascinated by his posts. And his hat. This newfound explosion through Instagram Reels and TikTok would lead to what many have called his generational run, where he basically just goes on a bunch of podcasts and talks about himself. The first one that I saw was when he did a stream with Nick Fuentes, where he talked about his planned double jaw surgery.
So the plan is the double jaw surgery.
Right.
And that brings it forward and makes it wider and bigger?
Forward and down.
And down.
A downdraft, yeah.
Giga Chad.
To most people, it's clear that this is a totally unnecessary operation, but at this point, Clav has gone so far with his endeavors that he doesn't really see it as much of an issue. In another interview, this time with Jack Neal, he talks about his most recent addition to the stack.
I'm taking Accutane. I use crystal meth, so methamphetamine, as a stimulant, and to lean max, right? It's very suppressant of your appetite. It's a very long-acting stimulant. So this is something that I've started using in place of Adderall. I'm pretty much using meth for hollow cheeks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at in terms of Looksmaxing.
While he goes on to defend his use by saying he takes a very low dose, there's honestly nothing he could say to convince me that ordering the big blue off the internet to lean max and get hollow cheeks is a good idea. His surgical ambitions have also gone even farther, as he wants to get a type of surgery where both of your legs are broken and then slowly pulled apart while the body forms new bone in its place, with the idea being that once the surgery is complete, you'll be multiple inches taller. Keep in mind here, Clav is already 6'2", and he wants to be 6'6". He also expresses total confidence that he isn't insecure, and instead, all of his decisions are informed by pure logic and rationality. Right before he says he'll be getting the jaw surgery in Turkey for $35,000, and then says that the height surgery will cost him $100,000. Now, despite how bizarre Clav is as a person, he actually does a decent job of presenting his worldview convincingly, and it's undeniable that he's pretty well spoken. While his appearance on stream with Nick Fuentes and the Jack Neal podcast were pretty popular, it was Fresh and Fit, a Red Pill podcast you may remember from when Andrew Tate was taking over the internet, that really blew the lid off, spawning a lot of edits of him on Instagram.
Please do.
So her alar base, the width of her nose is incredibly large. Her nasal bridge is incredibly wide. Obviously you've got bimaxillary protrusion. So your bite is all off. Just everything is wrong.
That's fine.
So just I would rate you the lowest, definitely on the panel.
I love that. Like, he just roast everyone.
What's the number?
I would arguably say like 1.5 or 2, like genetic defect, dead end.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm actually writing this shit down.
But whatever value he offers as a content creator is constantly negated by the stuff he actually gets up to in his endeavors to looks max. As his popularity increased, so did his revolving door of drug use.
Why the HCG? So that my testicles aren't the size of a shriveled up raisin. I was kind of getting a little sick and tired of that. It really has a wear and tear on your mental. If you're just you guys know, like a raisin in the sun? That was pretty much my nutsack, was a raisin in the sun.
This guy's life is basically a never-ending revolving door of drugs that cause issues and are then supplemented by other drugs which then need their own solutions, and it goes on and on. He took SARMs to improve his gym performance. Then he had to take testosterone because his body was no longer producing it naturally. Then his balls got small, so now he has to take the ball drug. But at the same time, his dick isn't working, so he has to take Cialis. As all of this is going on, he has really high anxiety, maybe related to his general temperament, maybe due to the drugs he's taking, so his solution is to drink and take baclofen. It's just never ending. There was a brief period in which Clav tried to act as if he had moved past his life of sleeping around and had gotten into a relationship, but it didn't last very long, and soon enough, he went back to jester maxing on TikTok for online attention from randoms, making videos about how to increase your IQ and the size of your meat, all while bragging about how easily he can get replies on looksmaxing.org, but doesn't care about it at all and has ascended past it. This is probably Clav approaching his least self-aware state, as he begins committing the most common internet guy mistake, engaging with your haters.
If you go look at, his Kiwi Farms entire post about him, you can see who he is.
If you put any person, any teenager, under the level of scrutiny that I've been put under, where I've got a forum full of people looking into every single thing that I've ever done, private police reports and stuff like that, where I crashed my car, could you imagine if that was you? If you were exposed to that level of scrutiny, I guarantee most of you, the majority, would be in way deeper shit than me. So what did I really do? I crashed my car because I took too much baclofen? Oh, big fucking deal. Some envious I simply made a joke about. If you put any person, in my situation, any teenage male under the scrutiny of all these people on that forum, which is literally an illegal forum. It's illegal in the UK and a few other countries because of the shit that they do on there.
Yeah, but he can just go there and talk shit to people. But if somebody try to criticize him, that is illegal website. Why are you talking about?
There's a lot that I can say about this video. First off, I think the years of using the "I'm just a teenager" defense on his parents made him do it on impulse here, despite the restraining order and the car crash happening after he was an adult. Secondly, I also really like how he's using Kiwi Farms being illegal, as he puts it here, as a gotcha, when the legality of his black market steroids, which he actively promotes and has promoted to kids, has never concerned him. To seal his fate for good, he announced that he was heading to the final destination for modern TikTok stars, Miami. There are very few fates darker than to see yourself become a Miami influencer with a rented Cybertruck. It's like a biblical punishment. Despite his many claims to not care about what online incels had to say about him, he was clearly bothered about it, to the point where he made a video borderline crying while trying to defend his recent developments.
Because that's really important, is the why. Why are you doing these things? Why are you risking your health with anabolics? Why are you dumping, all this money that you have into peptides and nootropics and this and that and taking this risk and having this surgery planned. So that really needs to be explained and addressed, because I see a lot of craziness going around on the internet, right? It's like, wouldn't you rather just give something your all in life? Okay, so when people come on and they say, oh, Clav, you're insane for getting surgery, you're insane for doing these anabolics. Well, at least in 5 years, whether I am a Frank Tufano botch job or the next Giga Chad, at least I could say that I gave something my all. While you sit there and type your comment on my Instagram reel from your wage job, at least I tried. At least I dedicated myself to the craft and was willing to do whatever it takes, right? So I really want to make this video before I go ahead and get this double jaw surgery, just to say that you guys have never done something hard in your entire life. You've never actually put in a second's effort. Now, I know I'm not...
But I get hard, so this is a big achievement. But still, I think a person who criticizes somebody for not doing something which he does not even know if he is doing or not is a person who can't take criticism, like this guy, who thinks that he is the only person in the whole world that is working hard and other people are just joking around and having fun while he is just struggling here. But the reality is that there is a lot more people who are struggling more than him to even get like meal 2 times, and he thinks that his situation is worse than everybody else.
The best looking guy, and sure, there's all these looks maxers that look a lot better than me, but what did they actually do? What did they actually accomplish? Because while you were out doing random bullshit in high school, I was sitting there on my computer, dedicating myself, researching the best way to maximize myself. So it's not craziness. It is not anything other than obsession and dedication.
There's a few things to pick apart here. He opens by saying, hey, why are you dumping all of this money that you have when that's only half true? If you go back far enough, he was using the money his parents gave him to get hormones. And even recently, he was taking out loans and admitted to being in tons of debt to get his looks maxing procedures. Then there's this false dichotomy he paints where if you don't think what he's doing is good or smart, then you must be an embittered wagey, envious of his ascension. Clav simply can't fathom that his critics have a legitimate point, rationalizing that they must be poor and mentally ill. Keep in mind, he's saying all of this through gritted teeth and watery eyes. Lastly, I like how his idea of putting a lot of effort in is being on the computer looking up ways to enlarge your penis when you're 16 years old, and then injecting your shaft with lemon juice. Now, some people may say,
oh, but that's just what he used to do as a silly kid trying to looks max online.
But as I've already gone over, if you look for more current examples of him supposedly taking risks to make the most out of himself, you immediately stumble onto him once again admitting to being on meth.
Usually when I build stuff, I'm always so stemmed out on like, you know, an amphetamine with a methyl group. You guys know what I'm talking about?
In reference to another video where he fails to rizz up some girl, he posted, I was high on meth. That bitch is definitely subhuman. Soon after, in another clip, like the one in his car where he's desperately attempting to get himself taken seriously by his audience, he says this.
I am not a character. This is not some TV show, right? Where I'm coming on here trying to entertain you, mother. This is the cruel, hard world. We live in one of the worst societies ever throughout the entire history of the world. Quite literally. You have to be in the top percentile to even be looked at with a shred of romance, with a shred of attraction by women in this day of age. Do you think that I'm doing this shit as a form of entertainment when I have to stay up for 3 days in a row, high on crystal meth, right? Trying to suppress my appetite and get hollow cheeks, right? Is that supposed to entertain you?
But why are you doing this if you complain so much about the whole situation?
The fact that I even I can't even talk to people without some sort of, version of benzos. I need alprazolam just to be able to have a conversation like a normal person. Is that supposed to be entertaining to you? Okay, right? So this shit is hell for me.
You do really gotta love the irony of someone talking about how evil and terrible the modern world is while making tens of thousands of dollars a month by basically sitting on his ass, live streaming once in a while, and then ordering drugs off the internet so he can destroy his brain. The rest of the video just has a lot of him malding about how evil women only give attention to you if you get plastic surgery, and he tries to, quote, appeal to people with neurodivergence, as if the stuff he's peddling at all would help other autistic people online. I'm sure that on some level he's aware of how silly he sounds when he takes himself so seriously, especially when the rest of his content is him doing literal makeup tutorials and recommending that all men take Cialis. He rapidly alternates between posts like this and posts like this.
Would Charlie Kirk have gotten assassinated if he were Chad? Well, probably not, and here's why.
While he was definitely trying extra hard to put on a performance, according to people who actually met him in real life, not much was different. In a Reddit thread about a stream clip of his where he showed off his penis pump, one user wrote, "My cousin is good friends with him in real life. He says Clav is probably the most insecure human he's ever come across. According to him, he's constantly going manic by trying all sorts of looks-maxing techniques. He only talks about anabolic steroids and plastic surgery. He also will have a meltdown if he sees the slightest imperfection and will ruin everyone's plans by refusing to leave the house because he's ugly, like a middle school girl would. Recently, he's been doing way too much melanotan too and looks terrible. Guy is mentally ill and needs psychiatric care." While this post is anonymous and could be complete bull, it sounds pretty accurate. Fortunately for Clav, he was finally moving past the need for validation from his fellow looks-maxing cells, as he was now attempting to ingratiate himself with streamers. Once again, the backfire was almost instantaneous, as this clip of Aiden Ross talking about him came out.
I've never seen someone snort meth ever in real life. I literally witnessed Clav snort meth. Literally. Witnessed it. And I didn't know how to feel. I did not know how to feel. I've never seen that ever.
Aiden was just one of the many stops on his clout train. Next up was Jack Doherty, and then Sneeko, both of whom he streamed with. Besides his career developments, there were also some new things in his personal life. He had found himself another girlfriend, who happened to be 17 years old, which a lot of people took issue with. Although I want to say here definitively that given he is only 19 himself, dating a 17-year-old is not really something to be concerned with. The more concerning part is him injecting fat-dissolving peptides into her face on livestream. Going back to the LooksMax forum, it's worth noting that he's mentioned his sister, who is just 13 years old by the way, multiple times. Over a couple of different posts, he wrote this: "Imagine your sister, who has the same DNA and genes as you, will never have to work a day in her life, will never understand hardship, will have every one of her desires fulfilled by cuckold men. Truly unreal. My sister is probably 0.5 PSL higher than me, which is a good amount but not otherworldly, and her quality of life will be inestimably better simply because of a simple difference in chromosomes. Truly unreal how genetics and sexual market value works. So Jover for me, man. My sister is a chronic mouth breather, mostly during sleep, but I already see early signs of recession and bad development. She's a foid, so she will have unlimited sexual market value regardless, but do I save her from descending, or does it not benefit me? The theory is that her marrying a rich Saudi prince or some shit like that will benefit me and allow me to exploit money from her. Again, almost everything odd said here could be swept away as a joke, but it is very strange to talk about your sibling like that to strangers online. Regardless, Clav was fully cementing his reputation by audibly snorting something that is presumably coke while on stream.
Easy.
Yeah, he's definitely doing something.
Dude.
I think he realized how bad this looked, so right after, he made an attempt at expressing regret over his drug usage, calling it the worst day of his life.
You need that stuff if you want to do this consistently, but I don't, bro. I want to get off the packet. I am. It's been 12. We've been off for 12 hours, bro.
Bye. Yeah.
The worst day of my life, bro.
But given that he continued to hang out with the same exact people afterwards, and a clip came out of them talking about how they got their stuff from the same guy who supplied it to the actual Wolf of Wall Street, I doubt he stayed off of it for very long. For someone who takes so much pride in not living a normie life, he's doing exactly the same thing as a gaggle of other clout-chasing streamers, with the only difference being that he's convinced himself that his motives are somehow unique. Ultimately, regardless of the merit some specific looks-maxing philosophies drugs may or may not have. I don't really need to go out on a limb to say that being on drugs all the time and doing steroids without lifting is just not the way to go. No amount of being funny online changes the fact that Clav could have had a much happier, fulfilled life, and instead he's wasting the prime of it and a huge amount of money on plastic surgeries and drugs. With that being said, I don't think he's an evil person, and despite him having advised other people to follow his footsteps as if he were a role model, I don't think he's intentionally misleading anybody. Based on everything I've seen so far, he genuinely believes that he is making the best decisions. It's just that those decisions are incredibly stupid. It's worth saying that throughout everything, even Clav himself admits that ultimately, a lot of what he's doing will probably have some very negative effects on his life.
So you don't care about maximizing your lifespan as much as your day-to-day.
Yeah, I'm not a huge longevity guy.
And I think his popularity is reflective of some broader issues as well. Clav himself has stated that he grew up as a socially awkward person. He avoided speaking to anyone in class. Instead of spending his time with friends, he went on an obscure forum for improving his looks, when realistically, his looks were already fine. He doesn't need to get height surgery to go from 6'2" to 6'6". He doesn't need to get his jaw broken and spend 6 months healing to be better looking. And frankly, his physique is not good enough for someone who has been taking steroids since before he was old enough.
Yeah, because there is a huge difference, and the thing which he's taking, he should have a lot more result. Maybe I think he's not going to gym that regularly, or maybe doing exercise, or maybe taking some shit which he even don't know what he's taking, or maybe his genetics, especially for building that type of muscle, is not good enough. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not like an expert in this situation.
To drive. There's this idea that I've seen in comment sections everywhere. How ironic is it that he only blew up after he ascended? To me, the truth is that he only blew up now that he's 19 years old, has been kicked out of college, and has the time to actually make content. A lot of the people claiming he's ascended will show before and after pictures, but the before is when he was like 13 years old. Are we really that surprised that someone's appearance changed for the better from before when they were in high school to when they're supposed to be college age? Is that really shocking to anyone? And frankly, there are plenty of good-looking people on the internet who are 19 years old. This is not a unique thing. Clav got popular for 3 reasons. One is that he's pretty funny. The second reason is the extreme measures he's taking, which is shocking to anyone who hears about it and they feel like they need to hear more. And the third reason is that there are a lot of other socially awkward kids out there who believe that Clav is offering them a way out. If you listen to him, all you need to do is take 32 different drugs you order off the internet, and then your life will be complete. But the reality is that, much like Clav's Botox-filled face, his audience will probably be just as fleeting. As the novelty of watching someone talk about penis pumps and taking meth to lean max fades away, he's either going to need to hard pivot into actually talking about something that matters, or he's going to fade into irrelevance like the rest of the red pill guys did once their audience has realized how full of shit they were. Anyhow, I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching.
And also thank you for watching. This was my first ever video which I tried to make, and I'm pretty sure it is more than a hour-long video. Like Turkey Tom was 1 hour long video, so you can just include mine is bigger than that. And hopefully I will also make my Twitch and Kick account, so you can just go there and watch me live to reaction videos, which will be better to do. So thank you for watching. If somebody is watching up until now, see you in the next video. Up until then, bye bye.